Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. You are in the right spot now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pit Road Productions for the Almeida Racing League for round 4 of the Formula Ford F1600. Again, a top split series driven by students, ladies and gentlemen. So certainly you're going to see these guys having a new set of challenges today, and they're going to be over at this wonderful track of the Red Bull Ring. And with that brings a new set of challenges, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see in the background, I've got to say, Reese, the weather appears to be just a little bit moist today.
Yeah, just a little bit. There's, I don't know, a slight bit of standing water on the racetrack, just a few drops being kicked up by the cars. Yeah, it's wet here today for the 4th round of the championship, and I tell you what, that's going to really bring things to the fore for driving ability, because I mean we know just how difficult it is to drive in the wet, particularly in a car like the F1600. Treaded tires, no downforce to speak of, all mechanical grip with a fixed setup through a track which has some very challenging corners around it.
Oh, absolutely, Reese. And certainly you can already see that the number 24 car giving us a little bit of a dance, a little bit of a wiggle, and it's fair to say that the rhythm was indeed in sync. But let's actually have a look. There's going to be a couple of teams running today and throughout the whole season. So let's take a couple of looks at the standings, not just for the teams, but for the championship standings as well. So as you can see here, Andrew Moran, he's in the top split. He's currently leading with 440 points, with Declan Marston in second. John Marandini, he's in third. And then you can see more close battles happening throughout the rest of the field. Actually, a tie currently for 6th place between Neil England and Mario Strecklag. As we have a look at the teams championship as well, ladies and gentlemen, what a belter. Red team currently in the lead, but not by a lot, by about 68 points there. A little bit of quick zippy math there over the purple team. Blue team a little bit further behind, but look at that, ladies and gentlemen. What is the odds? The white and black team both tied on 25.82.
Well, looks like it is going to be a very grey area, so to speak, as we go into this 3rd round of the championship. Yeah, while we are at it, we should look at the schedule. What has happened thus far this season and what is yet to come. We went to Alton Park, Winton and Summit Point Raceway to start off the season. We go to the first paid track of the season here at the Red Bull Ring. We go back to free tracks included with the iRacing base subscription at VIR next week. And then the week after, we go to Zandvoort to end off the season. What a fantastic season it has been thus far. I think Summit Point produced some of the best racing that I've seen in this league so far.
Oh, definitely. We had a lot of fun at Summit Point as well. But let's take a quick look at the race format as well, ladies and gentlemen. So they've had a 60-minute practice, and qualifying is indeed open, ladies and gentlemen. Multiple cars on track. All 3 races are, the first 2 races are 15 minutes, with the second race being a top 10 invert, and the last race being a little bit longer with the grid set by Heat 2. There is no longer a fast repair, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly the stewards felt they would be more productive for the students to learn, having to respect the car just that little bit more. So just keep that in mind. If you make a mistake here, it could indeed cost you very heavily in the championship standings.
Yeah, certainly could. So we're going to have to keep our eyes out here. It's going to be one of the most difficult rounds of the season so far. I mean, the Red Bull Ring is, let's face it, a very simple circuit. It's got heavy braking zones, long straights, a few hairpins, some sweepers here in the middle section to bring you back round to the start-finish straight. reasonably short for a Formula One circuit as well. But you add the wet into the equation, and it certainly becomes a great challenge. You want to try and keep the speed up through these sweepers and make sure that you have the best traction possible out of those hairpins, and also make sure you don't lock up your brakes in those heavy braking zones. It just makes things ever more difficult around here, and you got to stay away from those curbs, stay away from the white lines that delineate them from the racetrack, because they do get mighty slippery in these conditions.
Absolutely, and certainly this is going to be one of those circuits where you're going to very much see who has had the time to practice and who's had time to really get familiar with the car. Certainly, I've enjoyed taking the F1600 out on a rainy circuit, albeit that was Donington Park that I'm thinking of, and it was a challenging drive, but Donington Park, it does have some high-speed sections, but maybe not as much as this, as these guys are going to go pretty much flat out. Tell you what, Reese, why don't you take us through an onboard lap with Mike Sargent?
All right, so coming up into turn one, it's a bit uphill, and it's a medium speed corner here through the first turn. Got to make sure, in the dry at least, not to go over that yellow sausage curb at the exit there, but Mike's staying well away from that section now. Coming up to what's officially classed as turn two, this sweeper. You bend to the left as you get on the brakes for the hairpin here, around about the 100 marker in the F1600s. It's an interesting corner, this one. The outside is actually flatter than the inside, which means you can hold the outside line and get some good moves done around the outside on traction. So look out for that as the night, or the day, as it were, goes on. Another long straight, and then you start running downhill on the way to the second of the big hairpins of this lap. This one's slightly faster than the first, and Sargent using a bit of an alternate line there in these wet conditions. The track blending to the right as you get back on the power, and then a real challenge erupts here through the double left in the middle of the lap. You want to try and turn in early, keep it to the inside, but there's obviously a lot of standing water next to the curb there, so Sargent is giving it a good amount of space. Same on the inside of this one too. Looks like if you want to be fast, you have to go around the outside of the corner there and clamber all over the curb in the dry, but in the wet, stay off. Then you come up to Jochen Rindt corner, the Austrian 1970 Formula One world champion, the corner's named after. It's diving down. It is incredibly tight on the exit too. That's where pit entry is as well, so if you want to enter the pits, be careful. And then final fast right-hander. It's almost like a 90-degree right-hander to get yourself back onto the start-finish straight. It's a short and sweet lap here at the Red Bull Ring, but for Mike Sargent, it's enough to get him up to fourth.
I've got to say, that was definitely a very clean lap there by the Beaver Block driver in the number 88. A very clean job. And definitely, I've got to hand a lot of respect to these gentlemen here. And it is a very challenging set of conditions. So certainly, it's going to be interesting as well to see how the draft and how the battling is going to emerge. I think the biggest thing I would take away from this race, and I'm going to mention it again, ladies and gentlemen, my mentor, Mr. C.R. Reid, he's actually running in split fourth for this. So don't get me wrong, he's a very wise man in terms of racing. Maybe just not quite got the pace that he used to have. But like, that's all right. I'm sure he'll roast me for that later. But certainly low risk, high reward, ladies and gentlemen, as we just see Mahid Rahman go and take the top spot by not 2 tenths, but almost 3 tenths of a second, ladies and gentlemen. Incredible lap there from the number 5.
Yeah, man, that is an excellent lap there from Mahid Rahman, who was the overall champion of last season of the Almeida Racing League in the BMW M2. He's obviously carried over that pace to the single-seater open-wheel F1600 car, and 152 is the ultimate pace here in the wet. It has started, of course, in wet conditions, but we're in a bit of a break in the rain at the moment. I'm taking a look at that weather radar, and man, it's literally just like it's like the heavens have closed for just the briefest of times, and then the rain is going to come back in force. So it'll be drying off at the end of qualifying here, but we're likely going to be seeing more rain come race time.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the beautiful thing about this is you do not need to equip yourself with a rain jacket. Certainly if you're watching this outside, power to you. I'll be mightily impressed. By all means, get some pictures, send them in to us. We'd love to see that. But as we see there, Zoltan Zomator, he's taking a little bit of an off track. And actually, that does remind me, there was a couple of penalties. But the good news is no drivers facing any suspension. So a few coaching moments indeed. And certainly if these guys do indeed score some penalty points, they can actually almost redeem themselves a little bit by attending a pit party, ladies and gentlemen, which is something that the stewards put on, help coach the guys, help get out there and have some good clean racing. But right now, speaking of coaches, Brian Lockwood currently out on track.
Yes, we'll see if he can do anything to elevate himself a bit further up here in qualifying. Of course, the coaches are going to be starting at the back of the grid in these races. The whole idea is that they try to race through the field, and drivers will get extra championship points for defending from the coaches. But the pace is being set brilliantly by Andrew Moran and Vijay Rajasekaran at the front of the field at the moment. Rajasekaran was able to take some 5/10ths out of Mahid Rahman's time, and Moran has gone another 10th faster. So keep an eye out for some further improvements here at the end of the qualifying session. With no precipitation, no extra water on the racetrack, the line is drying and the lap times are probably going to fall in the last 5 minutes.
Well, certainly the conditions can be a huge impact on those lap times. Not only that, the draft as well. Certainly in the rain, though, you've got to question, do you want to be in the draft? Like, is it actually going to help you or is it going to hinder you? I mean, I think when it comes down to it, how well do you really know the Red Bull Ring? Certainly, you can indeed follow in that draft, but realistically, the brake markers, the references on track you're looking for, they're definitely a little bit more challenging to see in this scenario. Certainly, I'm having a hard time. Michael Dowden, he's about, I'd say, probably half a second back from his teammate there, and going around the corners he can see, but certainly on the straights, he's driving a little bit blind almost, and I think that's going to be potentially a couple of incidents as we're going into this first race.
You do have to be careful, especially in an open wheel car. Like, you don't have the luxury of windscreen wipers in these things. You have your visor tear off, but yeah, you can only do that at certain points around the lap, and you want to try and concentrate on driving more than making sure that your vision is completely clear. So that's a big problem to think about. Down to a 151.0 though for Vijay Rajasekaran, who has no one in front of him and no spray to obscure his view. Looking quite good in the Team Purple machine. We'll see if Moran will respond to that.
Well, certainly, I think the conditions are very much having an impact. You can see there's no longer any raindrops on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. That track is starting to dry out, and you can even see it there. You see there is a dry line emerging. Certainly, Connor Bell, we're going to wish him the best as well. He did... He had a bit of dental work yesterday. It's fair to say he's definitely feeling the brunt of that a little bit. So we'll wish him a very speedy recovery. Certainly the only way I'm getting dental work done is if somebody comes and knocks my teeth out. Thankfully, that's not been the case, ladies and gentlemen. But Andrew Moran currently in second. 4 attempts to catch up to Vijay Rajasekaran. Quite the gap to close down. Honestly, 4 attempts in the lap. That's a lot of distance to find.
Yeah, it is. Around a circuit that is mostly straights. So... it's all about really your exits from the corners. You can gain some time by braking a little bit later, sure, and mid-corner speed is fine, but really you get pace at the Red Bull Ring by nailing the exit from those hairpins and being able to hold on through these fast sweepers towards the end of the lap, and making sure not to go too far beyond the track limits either. You can certainly use the curbs in the dry if you want to, but if you run a bit too far beyond those red and white curbs, you will get pinged.
Well, I definitely agree with that. Certainly the curve, a little bit of a slide there from the 23. And I got a feeling he's honestly just showboating for his fans at this point. And yet again, the Leon Bentbells and fan club has indeed arrived in the chat. We've got Jerry, we've got Flush, we've got Oren, we've got Heather. Absolutely fantastic. I know that they're all cheering for Leon. We've also got Ipero Almeida in the chat. I'm not sure who they're cheering from, but certainly, you know what, Leon definitely making up a good portion of the cheering section today on the YouTube chat.
Have a look at Andrew Moran's time, though. He's gotten it down to a 150.6, and Rahman was not able to get any closer to that. In fact, as I see Matt Larkin improve to 4th, it looks like Rahman is finding his way around the middle part of the circuit, but he's not going to have enough time to get the lap in. Only 40 seconds on the clock, and this is a heat session, so that means there's a hard cut to the end of qualifying. If you aren't approaching the start-finish line right now, you're not going to get your lap in. And, well, we'll see if Mahid Rahman is able to get to that line there. He is soaring away at the wheel. Rajasekaran taking back provisional pole position. Big slide from Rahman. He's not going to make it to the line, but looks like Vijay is going to be your pole sitter here.
I think that's definitely going to work out very well for VJ. He's been getting caught up in a couple of incidents. Certainly the stewards are probably on a first-name basis with him at this point, and I think being at the front of the pack could be exactly what he needs to pull away. We've also got a bit of a shout-out for the Fernando Afonso as well. He is currently, if I have a look, in 9th place, ladies and gentlemen. But speaking of which, let's take a very good look at the grid now that qualifying is finished.
Yeah, so round 2, the race session, and Vijay Rajasekaran has managed to grab pole position, 2/10 ahead of Andrew Moran. The rain's definitely back here. Mahid Rahman in 3rd alongside Michael Dowden, with Matt Larkin and Leon Bentvelsen rounding out your 3rd row. Cairo Enns and Sammy Hendricks, 7th and 8th. Your 5th row of the grid being Fernando Afonso and Lee Martinez.
Well, speaking of Cairo, we just got a cheer for him in the chat. As we have a look at 11th, we've got the Beaver Block driver of Mike Sargent alongside Valdez Vansevius. In 12th, we have a look at 13th. You're going to have Rudy Malta with Michael Prechuk. If you head back to 15, you're going to have Anthony Lanassa alongside Michael Sabinares. Garrett Lund takes 17 with Rafael Romansky in 18th, and David Kent in 19th with Zoltan Zomator, closing out your top 20.
In 21st place, Mark Frederick. Kane Halberton, the first of our coaches there in 22nd. Julian Swanson, 23rd. And rounding out our 24 cars here, the second coach, Brian Lockwood. Let's see what Kane and Brian will be able to do here, how far they can get up through the field. First wet race of the season, and the first one. First wet race, I think, full stop in the Almeida Racing League thus far, pointing out, of course, that Swanson is a coach as well. So we've got 3 coaches trying to find their way through the field here. Can't wait to see what kind of pace Julian has.
Yeah, definitely. I remember reading his coaching profile, actually. He's more into the telemetry side of things. So certainly, I do think with coaches, there's different ways that you learn, and some coaches will have different methods. Certainly, he focuses more on the telemetry side. Myself, I don't look at telemetry, I'll be honest. I don't look at that. I'm more of a monkey see, monkey do, and talk to me and communicate. But ladies and gentlemen, the lights are indeed up. We're getting ready to go. And I do wonder about the traction is going to be away from the line. Let's see how it goes as race 1 gets underway. You can see they're definitely not quite as spirited away as we've seen in other events, and definitely VJ doing everything he can to get down to turn 1 first, but he's going to be on the outside right now as it looks like Mahid Rahman looking to make a move up on the inside. Doesn't be able to get the car alongside, and so far, I believe there has been an incident, but the majority of these cars getting through cleanly, and look just how close they are together. They're going to be doing at least 100 miles an hour going down this straight in the pouring rain, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it looks like actually no incident in turn 1. Amazingly, everyone's gotten through it cleanly. Vijay Rajasekaran defending the inside there through turn 3, but Mahid Rahman lines up the power and just sails back on by. That's the kind of move that you're going to be seeing a lot of here today at the Red Bull Ring. Moran and Dowden in the Team Blue cars leading the charge for that battle for the podium, but it's a top 4 breakaway as Rahman takes the position back. Leon Bentvelsen is leading the pack for 5th on back, and my goodness, what a pack it is. I mean, you look at the back half of the field, and everyone's just struggling to find their own little bit of real estate.
Oh, very much so. It's almost like they've gone from open country to city living, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, yeah, the real estate is indeed at a high premium. I'm looking literally at my timing screen right now, and there's a sea of red. They are all that close up. Biggest gap I can actually see is 0.6 of a second. We've got a quick replay here from Rudy Malta. Let's see exactly what happened here to the number 9 car as they're heading down. I believe that's towards turn 2.
Yeah, so very wide on the exit, and ooh, okay, looks like someone had a really big run into the corner there just behind him, but everything else looking reasonably clean there. So that's the closest we got to disaster on lap 1. What about lap 2?
Well, certainly I did see Rafael Romansky there. He's just come in, and that looked like a little bit of a nudge. Just got a little bit too much speed going into the braking zone. Give his comrade a little bit of a tap. And I have a feeling something may have indeed happened to Brian Lockwood as well. The coach is getting involved, but right now we've got a battle between Mahid Rahman and Vijay Rajasekaran.
Yeah, things are looking much closer now between our leaders and everyone else. Bentvelsen has managed to drag himself right into the midst of this battle, on board with Vijay as he picks up the slipstream from Mahid Rahman and up the inside at turn 3 and turn 2, depending on how you call it. And absolutely parking it on the exit there. It looked like Mahid wasn't able to get the run that he wanted there, and that has opened up the opportunity here for Moran and Dowden to get through.
Yeah, definitely. You seen he got the move done, and literally, I agree with you there. He pretty much parked it once he got ahead. I mean, he just didn't have the momentum to keep it going. But I do sense that there are going to be more incidents coming. As Team Blue there, hopefully not going to get some friendly fire. These guys working together, I would hope, to try and make sure they can secure some success as a team, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, there is a team championship going on as well, not just the individual. But right now, Vijay Rajasekharan is leading it with Andrew Moran in second. Looks like Mahid Rahman is going at it with Michael Dowden for third.
Yeah, it was a huge slide for Rahman in turn 4, and that allowed Andrew Moran through. So that's one extra position there for the 99, who leads the overall championship, and in split 1-2, back to Leon Bentvels, and he's been battling with Sammy Hendricks for the last lap and a bit, and it looks like Matt Larkin is going to make his presence known here too.
This is definitely one of the races, Reese, where I do wonder just how much do you want to battle. Certainly, you want to try and pull away from the field, but with the way these cars are set up, that is incredibly challenging. You can see a little bit of a wiggle there on Matt Larkin. I do wonder if he had a little bit of help. I'm not entirely sure on either driver whether it was a little bit of a wiggle or if it was a little bit of assistance, but certainly Cairo Hens applying the pressure right now as Vijay Rajasekharan has just set the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, there was no contact there. Larkin just slightly locking up the rear of the car into the final turn. That will end up happening. Oh, yeah, Rudy Filmalta has gone for a spin, and it looks like something's happened to Mikhail Prechuk as well. Oh, that's a shame there for Rudy Filmalta. That happened at turn 1. Going to get a very quick replay of that one, and we'll see if this was a solo incident. Looks like it might have been. He was deep into the corner and just lost the rear end in the middle of the turn. Everyone having to make some evasive action there. Good to see no one else got involved.
I got to say the reaction time of that driver driving the Team White car then was absolutely incredible. I feel like that man definitely needs to buy himself some kind of a piece of paper that may indeed involve him winning something. You get what I'm saying. I don't know if I'm allowed to advertise it, ladies and gentlemen, but certainly he was a very lucky bunny indeed in that one. Certainly the Fox did not indeed get him, and neither did Alma Fudd. That's probably going to get me more trouble than the lottery ticket would. But anyway, having fun here on Pit Road Productions. For right now, we're looking out the back of Andrew Moran's car, the number 99 machine, and you can see, for lack of better words, Mahim Rahman getting a free shower courtesy of the Team Blue car.
Yeah, at the very least, his helmet's going to be clean, or maybe it won't, considering how much oil tends to accumulate in a racetrack surface. It's absolute runaway from Vijay Rajasekharan at the moment. Well, I can tell you that the Team White car that that expertly avoided the spin for Rudy Filmalta was Mikhail Prechuk in the number 3, and I've just seen a problem for Fernando Alfonso as well. He's fallen back down to 16th, was battling in the area of Halliburton and Vancevicius. Looks like a bit of 3 wide happening here into the final corner. Team Blue and Team Purple on the inside, and there was a bit of contact with the wheels.
And then not only that, he's then basically stuck right into the streamer. Oh dear, I've just heard something go bang.
Oh yeah, that was at turn 1. It's gone ever further wrong here for Anthony Lanassa and Garrett Lund. It looks like Lund had a spin just up ahead, and the drivers behind had nowhere to go.
5 cars involved in that one, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Well, we did predict it was going to happen, and certainly that is not a detriment to any of these drivers here. It is a very challenging set of conditions, as I can see 3 drivers with the meatball flag. And ladies and gentlemen, that does not mean that they are going to be offered a tasty treat when they come into the pits. That means that the car is, for lack of better words, it's brown bread, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, as Rob was saying on Thursday, brown bread is indeed not the favourite choice, as we see what happened to Mikael Sabinares in the number 17 car.
So Sabinio's here coming into turn 3, and yeah, it's just another case of you're shifting down through the gears to get into the right gear for the hairpins, and that can sometimes result in a bit of compression locking. The rear of the car can actually lose traction thanks to if you don't downshift smoothly enough, the drivetrain will briefly lock, and in wet conditions that is a death sentence.
I'm starting to see a little bit of a pattern here, Reese. So right now, I'm looking to see who the hard chargers are, and this is probably not going to surprise anybody, but Kane Halliburton is one of them, joint with Julian Swanson. And then the next driver is actually Mark Frederick, but if you skip that one over, it's Brian Lockwood. So right now, the Almeida Academy coaches very much showing that they are indeed potent in the rain. And definitely, we did see Brian Lockwood. He got caught in an incident earlier on. We didn't see it on screen yet, but definitely he got tied up. But despite that, it's still been able to keep this car going. So the coach is obviously a little bit better at threading the line in the rain, and certainly a new set of challenges there. As you got to wonder, you know, if I'm in that car right there, that black team black car, I don't think I'm going to try and make the move. That's not going to stop Halliburton. He's looking to try and make a move regardless. And I think that may be Mike Sargent there getting involved.
It is indeed. Matt Larkin and Lee Martinez fighting over 8th up ahead, and they just managed to stay out of each other's hair. Kane Halliburton gets the move done and moves into the top 10. So there'll be no extra championship points there for Mike Sargent on that lap. Replay of Lockwood. Something has gone wrong from there. That was contact on the exit of the fast left-handers. A little bit of interlocking wheels spinning across the track in front of other drivers, and well, again, I think just fortunate to see that others did not get involved. Halliburton, meanwhile, just continuing to charge, just made his way past Larkin, and he has got Martinez squarely in his crosshairs.
Well, certainly Halliburton looking to move his way up. I've got to say, I'm loving the headshot as well. That looks very professional. So shout out there to the number 11 car, Kane Halliburton. I'm actually a little bit jealous. It looks so pro. We don't do anything like that over here. I mean, fantastic stuff there by Kane Halliburton. But right now, he's not just looking pro, he's driving pro. He's got Lee Martinez ahead of him. It's about a tenth of a second, ladies and gentlemen, which is incredibly scary at the port in the rain. And certainly, I do actually remember watching some of Swellio's videos where he was racing in the rain. And as much as I love, you know, the idea of racing cars and stuff like that, I'm just not that brave, and fair play to him. He did do a great review about, you know, racing in the rain and stuff like that, and, you know, conquering the fear. But right now, that's exactly what Cairo Enz is going to be feeling, as he actually Lee Martinez, as he's got Kane Halliburton up on his inside, with Matt Larkin looking to try and capitalize on that as well, with Mike Sargent very much in the battle as well.
And the lead has changed. Vijay Rajasekaran had a massive tank slapper coming out of turn 1, and he's just given up the lead to Andrew Moran, but he's immediately fighting back. Oh my goodness, this has turned into an excellent battle. But Moran, around the outside, flatter surface and easier run up the hill, is going to get it done there. Something happening to David Kent at the... Ooh, car was spinning just ahead there of David Kent. This is what just happened between Rajasekaran and Andrew Moran. They're continuing to fight on live pictures. They remain side by side, and Mahid Rahman has decided to join the party once again. Still got 4.5 minutes remaining in this race, Zippy, and it's still unclear who exactly is going to win this.
I think if I was Mahid Rahman, I'd honestly let these two guys go at it. I would very much take the third. Low risk, high reward. Don't get me wrong, that's not how you win races, but you can already see there he's just ebbing away a little bit at Moran in the 99 car. But VJ, he's definitely been getting caught up in a few incidents. Certainly, he was the unfortunate gentleman who had a hardware failure on the very first race we had here back for season 3. No penalties for that one, thankfully. But I would honestly just be trying to, you know, bring it home at this point. You know, Kate taking those points. He's definitely got pace. He's definitely got skill. Just needs to work on having some more consistency. But right now, Mr. Consistency himself, Andrew Moran, is right behind him. Not only that, with season 2's champion Mahid Rahman very much in pursuit.
Yeah, and what you got to remember is that VJ's pace has been supreme all day long. The only time he really had a mistake was here on the previous lap. And that's the reason why he's back in trouble for the lead again. He set the fastest lap of the race just before that incident happened, at 1:50.4. The only drivers that have been able to get even close to that is Andrew Moran with a 1:50.6. So VJ definitely has the pace to win this. He's certainly very strong in the wet conditions. He's just got to avoid getting those slides in the wrong places. And it looks like one of those slides just happened there at the hairpin, because Moran got another great run out of that corner.
I'm definitely starting to wonder about what is the best technique here, because it almost feels, certainly to make a pass, it almost feels like they're very intentionally understeering the car on entrance. And then it's just drifting out and basically shutting the door on the guy behind him. Yeah, I'm wondering if that's a little bit of a technique there. You see Mahid Rahman, despite the not over-generous power of these F-1600s, you see they're fighting a little bit, trying to keep the rear end in check as he sees Moran ahead of him. They've got about a 3-second gap to crowd favorite Leon Benfelsen behind, but definitely having to work this wheel very, very hard, putting in lots of adjustments there to try and maintain the line and find some grip here on this very rainy track today.
Yeah, and of course, if you're wondering, if you're new to sim racing, motorsport, whatever, and you're wondering why they're running those lines, here comes Larkin up the inside of Martinez, by the way. That's move done, and oh, no, not quite. It's going to keep fighting back at him there. You're wondering why they're running those outside lines. It's because in wet conditions, the conventional racing line around the track is where all the rubber and all the oil is, and it actually slicks up in wet conditions. A rougher surface on the outside of the corners is actually better in wet conditions, as amongst them now is Julian Swanson, banging wheels a little bit there with Lee Martinez. Not the cleanest move that we've seen from a coach, but regardless, Swanson certainly making his presence known here in the top 10, just about anyway.
I do wonder if Swanson was watching his video about how to make the dirty pass. Certainly, I didn't see anything on my end, but I just wanted to put the plug in there for the video. I certainly enjoyed it, and I'm actually a little bit alarmed as well, having more people know that technique. I thought I was one of the few who engaged out if I felt the urge, but not that I'm unsportsmanship or anything. It's legit in terms of stewards, but certainly, oh dear, I didn't see that ending well, and Michael Dowden actually able to get away with that, but I definitely don't think Cairo Enns would have been a big fan of that move. Certainly a little bit risky there, and right now Enns very much under pressure from Sammy Hendricks and Kane Halliburton, who's actually up 14 spots, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's crazy there. Halliburton's just past Sammy Hendricks too, and oh, looks like it's on for the lead again. Andrew Moran has passed Vijay Rajasekaran, and they're all sliding their way through these corners here. And, you know, that's the reason why you see that sort of understeering technique you were talking about before, Zippy. This is the last lap of the race. It's still on for the lead, but they got to be careful. That's a big slide from both Rajasekaran and Rahman. It looks like Andrew Moran might have taken this. No, a little bit of loss of traction there.
No.
And he spun! He's around! Andrew Moran spins! And Vijay Rajasekaran is clear to take victory!
Well, literally, we just had Jury in the chat saying Ben Felsen for a podium, and I was about to say, nah, he's 4 seconds back. I stand corrected, ladies and gentlemen.
He manifested it.
Yeah. So, Jury, you're the one who gets the curse for that one, buddy. But Vijay Rajasekaran able to absolutely snake that. No! White flag, Reese. We're going for one more.
What? Huh? There was 38 seconds left on the clock on the final, on that lap there. So, okay, we're going for another lap. My apologies. I called that one entirely a lap too early. My timing screen was being a little disagreeable. Well, that's, well, basically, on the penultimate lap, it turns out, Vijay Rajasekaran now has a 3.3 second gap over Mahir Rahman. Bent Belsen getting onto the podium, but Rahman and Bent Belsen are still very close together. We'll see what Leon will be able to do. Evidently, on that previous lap, I think, you know, the rain is coming down ever further, and the track is just getting worse and worse. And so the likes of Andrew Moran and Mahid Rahman were really struggling with traction in the high speed.
Well, speaking of Andrew Moran, on my timing screen, it's telling me he's got a meatball flag, but you know what? That's not stopping him. He's still wheeling this car around, and you know what? I think I'd finish the race as well. He's got control of that car. I definitely want to keep going, but the iRacing Marshal's saying, no, that car is too damaged to continue. But right now, we've got another battle happening, and it is indeed, well, there you go, there's Andrew Moran, but the battle is behind him. That's who he's trying to keep behind of Michael Dowden, Cairo Enns, and Kane Halliburton, with Sammy Hendricks getting in there as well. It's a four-car fight. It's going to be a battle for P5, and Andrew Moran, he's managing to hold him off right now. The lead battle's kind of spread out a little bit, and actually, speaking of meatball flags, there is 3 people in the pits. Michael Prechuk, Fernando Alfonso, and Garrett Learn with those meatball flags, but we're getting near the end of this race, well, at least for sure we are this time. It's definitely running a little bit later, and right now the battle continues, but Vijay Rajasekaran, it looks like he's going to be bringing home the win with a 3.5 second lead.
Okay, so take 2, Vijay Rajasekaran across the line to win. He had his small mistakes, but where it really counted, he kept it together. That is a masterful drive there from our Race 1 pole sitter, and a very well-earned victory. Fended off Mahid Rahman and Andrew Moran. Bent Belsen gets onto the podium. The fan club's going to be very happy about that one. Dowden leads Halliburton home in the battle for P5. Kane making it all the way up to P6 there. Cairo Enns doing very well to hold on to that position in the top 10. Mike Sargent getting into P10 himself.
Well, definitely remember we got that invert for the second race, ladies and gentlemen, so that could indeed work out very well. If I remember rightly, it's the top 15 race. I can't remember top 15, top 10. I'm pretty sure it's the 15.
It's top 10.
Top 10.
It was 15 at the last round, I believe. But yeah, top 10 being inverted. That means Mike Sargent's going to be your pole sitter for race 2.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a Beaver Block driver on the pole. That's going to be very much fun. Certainly, I say that because I've raced with Mike Sargent, and we've seen him throughout this series as well, and indeed last season. And we know that when it comes to defense, he's very much, he's got that one pretty well trained up. I mean, but let's have a quick look at the official results from what we can see anyway. Vijay Rajasakaran, he takes the win with Mahid Rahman in second. Liam Bentvels and crowd favorite in third. But Andrew Moran, despite that meatball flag, able to bring it home in fourth. Be interested to see how that works out at the end of it. But Michael Dowden took fifth with Kane Halliburton in sixth. Cairo Enns takes seventh with Sammy Hendricks in eighth. Matt Larkin in ninth, and Mike Sargent in 10th. I tell you what, let's head over to the grid very quickly. We are on a little bit of a tight time scheme here. Reese, do the honors.
Yeah, so flip the top 10. Sargent's on pole with Larkin P2. Hendricks going to start third alongside Cairo Enns. Halliburton, of course, scheduled to start fifth, but he's already black flagged himself to start at the back. Dowden, Moran, Bentvilsen, Rahman, and Rajasekaran are your top 10.
As we have a look at 11. Oh, okay, carry on, Reese, by all means.
All right, there we go. Swanson in 11th spot. My apologies. He's got on the 6th row. Lee Martinez for company. Valdes Vancevicius, Brian Lockwood, Mark Frederick rounding out your top 15 there with Rafael Romansky, Anthony Lanassa, David Kent, Rudy Filmalter, and Zoltan Zomotor rounding out your top 20. Sabinias, Prechuk, Lund, and Afonso will round out your field, and hopefully they'll have a much better race 2 than they did race 1. But looking at the weather, man, You know, Zippy, how there's that sort of color spectrum to show you how heavy rain is on a weather radar. Starts off light blue in iRacing, then it goes green, then it goes yellow. That's when you know it's getting really heavy. We had a yellow band pass across the circuit at the end of race 1, so this track is absolutely sopping.
Yeah, it definitely does look like, I don't know if we're going to want racing shoes, but maybe oh my gosh, rubber boots, ladies and gentlemen, or Wellingtons, you know. I don't know how international that term is. Certainly, I think only the UK uses the term Wellington boots, but apparently we do have wellies here in Canada, or Rob's telling me anyway. So there's also another phrase is to give it some welly, ladies and gentlemen, and that is exactly what these drivers are going to need. Certainly, Mike Sargent sat currently. If anybody would like to take an umbrella out and you know, just try and help these drivers here, certainly it appears to be that they maybe don't want to have a drainage plug in the floor of that car while they're sitting here on the grid. But we do have to thank the admins there for giving us a moment to grid hold. We did rush through the results a little bit just to make sure we could indeed do the grid, and certainly, you know, it's a test of the fittest here, ladies and gentlemen, making sure these drivers can handle a little bit of a downpour. But take a good look at these cars as well. I'm absolutely loving the synchronized paints as well. Very much a spec series, and for me, I think that's part of the appeal. Loving the team format as well. Recently, it's a whole other dynamic to racing that we've not really seen on this kind of level when it comes to teams.
Yeah, of course. You know, you want to try and preserve your best result for the team, and if you're racing hard with a teammate and trying to battle for the lead, help each other out a little bit. That's the way you got to do it. And well, Mike Sargent, the only team black car up the front at the moment. Leon Bentvelsen is behind, but we'll see how close he'll be able to get at the end of lap 1, starting from 8th place. Well, just a few seconds remaining here on the grid timer. The revs rise, the lights go up. It's even wetter now here at the start of race 2, and we are away. Bit of wheel spin. Oh, that is no, that's Halliburton pulling off to get to the back. Yes, it is. So, all right, down to turn 1 we come. Mike Sargent holding off Matt Larkin for the lead, very deep around the outside for Andrew Moran as he pops into frame there, and everyone's trying to give each other space here at the start of the race. Looks like it's been successful so far, but look at the spray that is being kicked up in these wet conditions. Larkin already going for the lead versus Mike Sargent.
Well, this is where Sargent really does need a teammate alongside him. Literally, if you had two or three teammates alongside, you could literally hosepipe your competitors behind to the point where on earth would they go? And certainly, I'm yet to see anyone do that. I see Julian Swanson taking a bit of a wide line and he cuts across. Definitely not sure I would have done that as the coach there, really pushing the limits a little bit there. The Team Purple car probably not a big fan of that. As you see, Mike Sargent still very much able to hold on to the lead. And there's actually quite a big gap here. So David Kent, something's happened with David Kent and Garrett Lund, I think. Garrett Lund yet again with a meatball flag.
Yeah, looks like there might have been a coming together at the back. Poor Garrett Lund, he is not having a good time here. And it was actually, my God, have a look at this. So they both had problems at high speed. Kent got into the wall and by himself, and so did Lund. It just looks like at these high speeds, the cars were just aquaplaning off the circuit.
Yeah, I do wonder if they maybe just got a little bit out of the dry line. Certainly that dry line's not going to be quite as prominent now. Where they switch between the races, there's been a little bit of a hold as well. It's definitely going to add a little bit more moisture to the track. And certainly as I'm looking at the screen, the dry line, it's not really there as much as that's a huge slide from Cairo ends. I think he held it as well.
Yeah, but no. It's this is further chaos here.
Oh my
Excuse me. Yeah. I was about to say, Zippy, I would argue there is no dry line. The track is just a river at the moment, and it's claiming so many victims. It's taken out 2 of our coaches, Swanson and Lockwood. How on earth did that happen here? We're about to see it happen here through Jochen Rindt. 3 wide in these conditions. It's not going to work. Swanson gets into the Team Purple car, and Lockwood has nowhere to go. Team Red goes for a bit of a ride there on top of another car. And yeah, that's awkward to say the least.
I gotta be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing actually the replay of Cairo Ends, because I do believe he actually held that and it looked incredible. So we'll try and catch that in a few minutes. Up to the director anyway, subtle hint. But you see right now, Sammy Hendricks, one of the novice coaches there, getting into a little bit of a battle. He's got one of his teammates ahead. He's got Team White versus Team Red, and it looks like these guys are going to sandwich that poor Team Red car of Rudy Filmolta in the middle. It's Zoltan Zomator, Sammy Hendricks, and Rudy Filmolta in the middle. I gotta say, I feel for the guy. I don't know if I'd want to be in the middle of that sandwich as we see Kane Halliburton making moves yet again.
Yep, Halliburton holding on very nicely. Oh, Anthony Lanassa there in the gravel trap. And there's probably more grip in the gravel trap than there is out there on the racetrack right now. Every single time I've been looking at our leaders going through the high-speed corners, the car is just on the verge of breaking grip and aquaplaning. You can see, actually, that Halliburton's nose has been boxed in a little bit there thanks to shenanigans. Looks like the Halliburton front bumper from last season is making a bit of a comeback, but there's no grip out there on the curb. Halliburton obviously struggling to keep that car going straight at the moment. Honestly, these kinds of conditions would be a red flag in most motor racing series around the globe, but hey, this is a great learning opportunity for students of the Almeida Racing Academy.
Absolutely, and actually, if I remember rightly, Lando Norris, he's actually known to be a little bit of a wizard in the rain, and from what I hear, don't get me wrong, I don't know how true this is, but he used to go out in his go-karting days on slicks, on a wet track, just to try and learn car control. So definitely fair play to him having this experience. And certainly if you want to try and find the limits of grip, certainly I'm thinking of rallycross as well. It's kind of easier to find it when there's less grip available. Certainly when you're thinking about, some of these very high powered cars, to find the limit, you've really got to absolutely send it. And that's why I do prefer some of the lower powered stuff. But right now, Matt Larkin, he's currently right behind the race leader, and certainly the pole sitter of Mike Sargent. He's been very honest with the gap, just about 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, this is a great battle between Sargent and Larkin. Michael Dowden and Andrew Moran trading spots just behind. Got to keep an eye out here for Cairo Ends, who, had that massive recovery from that slide at the end of lap 2. It really was an incredible bit of driving, and he's been rewarded thus far with a 3rd place as the battle's still on between Mike Sargent and Matt Larkin. Big slide for Sargent in the lead, but he's managed to hold on to the momentum. This is, frankly, treacherous. These conditions is, no, that's Ends going for a slide, and he is going to lose that podium. It looks like Ben Felsen himself having a bit of an issue just behind as well.
Well, definitely these drivers in a very challenging set of conditions, and I think so far Cairo Ends has had the best drifting experience we've seen so far. Definitely one that I very much enjoyed. But Ben Felsen, the crowd favorite, he's still up in 6th. And actually, let's give a little bit of a shout out right now to Zoltan Zomator. He's a hard charger right now. Even with, Halliburton is, he is and he's not, but because of where he started on the grid. If you ignore the coaches, though, right now Zoltan Zomator, he's up 10 positions, ladies and gentlemen. So I've got to say, absolutely fair play to him in the 21 car.
Indeed, and Mikhail Prechuk as well, having a good run up from 22nd to 14th. So I think we're going to be seeing some great runs from a lot of drivers in this this horrifically wet race. Really tends to bring out the true talent in a lot of these drivers. Sargent holding on to the lead in spite of everything that this field has been through. I just want you to keep your eyes on this lead pack, especially as they reach those high-speed sections and down into the sweepers to come. Just keep an eye on the rear end of these cars and how much they're dancing around at high speeds. You can tell that they're on the verge of breaking grip. The rain seems to have lightened a little bit in this area of the circuit, but keep an eye on it. Just ever so slight slide right there. That's one of the points where you start to see it breaking free.
Certainly I thought it was going to get Reese Gardner breaking into High School Musical for a second there, ladies and gentlemen. But after you finish booing, by all means, rejoin the action. Oh, what a slide! That's exactly what I was talking about. So we couldn't find it for Kyra and Zoltan Zomator's like, don't worry, guys, I got you. And absolutely drifts that machine right in front of Rudy Phil Malta, who's fair to say would have definitely had a brown flag moment. I know I certainly would follow in that. But one thing to keep in mind right now, Reese, is the grid for race 3 is indeed set from the results of this race. So this could be a absolutely incredible result for Mike Sargent if he can keep hold of the lead. Certainly, you've got to keep in mind the long game, ladies and gentlemen. Low risk, high reward. This could be an absolutely incredible point haul, not just for him, but for Larkin and Moran, currently in third place as well. This could be fantastic. There's all contact there with Mahit Rahman, and that looks like Mark Frederick, frankly, able to keep it going, but Lee Martinez there getting in on the action just a little bit behind.
Yeah, looks like Martinez caught the white line at the edge of the circuit where there is the least amount of grip. Rahman completing the move around the outside for turn 1. Matt Larkin, meanwhile, has gotten alongside Mike Sargent. See, just catching the white line there, little slide, manages to recover it. Well done to keep it out of the wall, but that is 2 positions lost there for Martinez. And well, here we go. Out of the hairpin, Sargent has defended the position again, and Andrew Moran is going to sweep by car number 1.
Well, certainly if I was in the 88 Beaver block machine, I would definitely be killing at that clock, looking at that countdown, and hoping that very quickly I see that white flag. Certainly we're not looking for an extra lap if you're driving the 88, as right now the biggest thing he can hope for is that Moran and Larkin start to fight even more. All he can do is try and cover it up, and you see there a little bit of a wiggle there from the back of this F1600, and Moran looking to try and make a little bit of an opportune move there. He's got Larkin right behind him. All of these guys vowing, fighting, and yet again, we have the lead pack is broken away by about 3.5 seconds. So it seems to be a little bit of a pattern here as Sargent absolutely fighting, writhing, wiggling for grip.
Yeah, they're trying to keep it on the rougher parts of the racetrack where the grip is in the wet, but I think the track's just too wet to find grip anywhere right now. Every single time they turn in for one of these high-speed corners, the rear end is dancing. Little bit of curb usage there as well. I wouldn't want to go anywhere near the curbs in these conditions. What can Larkin do from here? 5 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock. My timing's telling me 3 laps to go here, but we've been wrong before tonight. Andrew Moran to the lead. Will Sargent defend? No, he's going to yield as around the outside Moran goes, but they both check up on the exit of the corner, and we could see further drama down at turn 3.
Well, right now, Larkin has literally got nowhere he can go. He's boxed in, and that's contact. Definitely playing a high-risk game there. It's fair to say that it did not work out for him. Certainly nowhere he could go. All he could do is back out of that, and Mike Sargent very much holding that line and saying, you shall not pass. Again, we're going for some different quotes here. Ladies and gentlemen, High School Musical, now Lord of the Rings, and that has maybe opened it up there for Moran and Sargent. Is Larkin going to be able to catch up? As I believe something's happened to Fernando Afonso. It's showing me that he's been disqualified.
Okay, that's not ideal. Fernando Afonso potentially has been involved in, oh yeah, so Mahid Rahman potentially, yeah, caught the white line, and then Afonso had very little place to go there. I think Afonso has exceeded the incident limit, and that might be why he's been disqualified. That's a real shame for the Brazilian.
I definitely sympathize for him, though. Certainly in these rainy conditions, I'm going to be treating incident points like Tic Tacs, you know, Skittles, M&Ms. Take your pick. Buyer's choice, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, any candy is good in my world. Well, except licorice. That doesn't deserve to be candy. There's a car off there I've just seen in the foreground.
Martinez and Phil Malta.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Both of those guys are Team Red as well. It's definitely not what Team Red was looking for. Here's Rudy from Malta. Let's see what happens. Martinez has already gone.
Oh no.
Synchronized,
both in the same spot. Yeah, and that's both in the same spot. You know, yeah, this is Martinez's view. Yeah, it's on turn-in the fast left-handers. There might have been a bit of contact between the two of them there, but yeah, as you say, synchronized. It's so wet through there. You turn in at high speed, and there's only so much grip that the rear end can offer you.
Well, very much. I do believe there may be somebody with a couple of banana peels who are throwing them on that turn. Certainly, they very biased towards Team Red in that scenario. But right now, Matt Larkin, he's looking to try and capitalize, and I believe that looks like a Nissan. I can't decide it was a 350. I think it's a 350Z, and I say that that's probably drifting tandem right now. So fair to say he should be good in low grip situations, ladies and gentlemen. As right now he's back up, caught up with Mike Sargent. Maybe not feeling as warm and fuzzy towards him as they maybe once were. And certainly we're going to see exactly how this battle emerges with just 2.5 minutes left to go.
Yeah, looks like Moran is positioning his car perfectly here. And the rain looks to have eased up just a little bit. I'm looking back at the weather radar, and we're about to approach the... We're in the middle of this band of rain right now. It's lightened up a bit, but we've still got a bit of precipitation left to go today. So I reckon all three races are going to be quite wet indeed. All of them going for the outside here and just trying their best to keep the rear end under control. It's grip limited in the rear in these conditions, and the drivers who are the best at managing that are the ones on top.
Absolutely. We do have a cheer actually for this driver in the chat right now. Black Mustang, absolutely cheering on his buddy. I gotta be honest, P3 would be great. Certainly, Liam Bentwell's getting cheered on as well. I think something's just happened with Mark Frederick as well. But this could be the move that Matt Larkin needs. He's alongside Mike Sargent as they're going down the start finish. That's a white flag being waved. And this is exactly what Moran needs. These two guys fighting. Is Sargent going to be able to snake it up on the inside? Now, we've seen some drivers pushing the nose out. And yep, Sargent's held onto it. But now, at least, Matt Larkin has to back out of it. But Moran pulling away a 1.2 second gap.
Yeah, can he hold on to it is the question. Hopefully this battle sorts itself out as Rafael Romanski has re-emerged from pit lane and is starting to get some positions back. A little replay here of Mikhail Prechuk, meanwhile, out of the final corner. And oh, that's a Team Purple car that spun right ahead of him there. I'm not sure who that was. That was Anthony Lanassa. Oh dear, so it happened at the final corner here. Tips in it on the way in and then catches the white line and the curb again. Oh, that's the second time we've seen that happen to a driver in this race. But half a lap to go and up the inside. Oh, no! Second and third coming together. Matt Larkin losing the rear as he tried to pass Mike Sargent. And this could be the chance that Dowden and Bentvelsen need to get onto the podium.
Well, Bentvelsen's already very much having a lot of good luck tonight purely by attrition. And look, there's two Team Black cars, a purple and a blue. And you got to wonder, it's going to be, remember, you got the grid positions will be set from this into the final race, the 20-minute races. These guys are literally bumping wheels right now. There's friendly fire opportunities ahead, but able to keep it in check. Bentvelsen's going to want to do everything he can to make sure he does not take out his teammate. Matt Larkin, he's pulled ahead, and Mike Sargent able to hold on to that third for now. Dowden behind, Bentvelsen at the back of that pack. Are these guys going to emerge cleanly? Moran, he's bringing it home. About a 6-second lead, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly that worked out very much in his favor. Another great job by him in the 99. But we're going to return back to the battle for P2. And you see there, that's Mike Sargent. He's currently in P3. Matt Larkin's ahead. It's going to be a drag race down to the line. It appears to be like the bobsled team at this situation. And can Sargent get it?
He has. Just beating Dowden to the line by...
Oh, my gosh.
A tenth or so. Man, what a finish. Whew, very close between them. Yeah. Hendricks comes home to pick up P9, and looks like Zoltan Zomotor will continue his run to P10. A very nice run there, but it looks like Hendricks and Rahman might have come together here in the final corner. Hendricks trying up the inside and just pushes wide and hits the wheel of Mahid Rahman. And, well, it wasn't enough for Zoltan Zomotor to get himself a little further up. So that's going to end things there for race 2, Zippy.
It did look like there was maybe a little bit of netcode with that one as well. I just saw it just a smidge, as we see there. That's actually a fantastic statue. Certainly, if you're a fan of Red Bull, this is their track, ladies and gentlemen. But let's take a look at the results here from race 2 before we get into our little warm-up break. And you see there, top of the food chain today, ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Moran able to get on the podium yet again and take a win with Matt Larkin in second and Mike Sargent there in third. Interesting. Michael Dowden takes fourth with Leon Bentvelsen in fifth. Cairo ends in sixth with Mahid Rahman in seventh. Sammy Hendricks in eighth. Zoltan Zomotor in ninth and Michael Precher closing out the top 10.
Yes, in 11th place, Mark Frederick. It looks like one of the drivers in the top 10 might have gotten a off-track penalty, potentially. Yeah. So that's granted an extra position for everyone behind. So Pretchuk finishes 10th, Frederick finishes 11th. Then it's Phil Malta, Lanassa, Vansavicius, and Martinez running at your top 15. Halliburton class 16th with Fernando Afonso. Unfortunately, 3 laps down, disqualified from the race. Rajesh Sekaran, Romansky, and Sabinias had to retire through due to damage. And unfortunately, further retirements for Lockwood and Swanson, 2 of our coaches here, David Kent and Garrett Lund, didn't even get to the end of the first lap. The treacherous conditions caught them out. Well, Zippy, I think it is time to take a little bit of a breather here in the warm-up session. Drivers, of course, running their way around this track to try and get that line in. And, well, of course, we have to thank, of course, Suelio Almeida and his Almeida Racing Academy. Let's hear from them briefly.
If you're a racing driver and you want to reach an advanced level, there's a faster and easier way to become competitive. I've gone from this to this in 5 years. Now, we've created the perfect free driver development guide to help you understand the right order of racing skills to develop if you want to become a competitive driver as quickly as possible. This guide was made after 3,000 hours of combined high-level coaching.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Red Bull Ring, Pit Road Productions, and indeed the Almeida Racing Academy. Certainly, we've seen some very interesting racing so far. The weather conditions very much offering a unique set of challenges here. And I've got to say, heading into race 3, I do hope that the drivers did remember that it is indeed the grid is set from race 2. And certainly, I believe some of these drivers as well, maybe taking the warm-up to just try and get a bit more familiar with the conditions and maybe try and make a drier line emerge. Certainly, we have seen that the cars can evacuate water off the line, which could actually be beneficial for them. It depends on how you look at it. Certainly, if you go off the dry line, making a pass can be incredibly challenging.
Yeah, and, well, I guess I'm taking the role of weatherman for this broadcast. I'm looking at the radar, and the band of rain has just stopped passing over the circuit here in warm-up. So there will be no rain in race 3 from what I can see. That means we are going to be seeing a dry line start to form. So keep an eye out for that. And this is a big opportunity for the drivers to get that dry line started, as there's so much standing water around the circuit thanks to race 2. Man, this has certainly been nothing short of an entertaining night, hasn't it, Zippy? I'm sure a lot of the drivers will be frustrated with how they've gone in these conditions, but it's put on a great show for us.
Absolutely, I've definitely enjoyed it, and certainly you can just feel how hard these drivers are fighting to keep the car in check, and definitely a very challenging set of conditions for sure. And certainly with these cars not having wet tires either, you know, it's very much you are dancing on the limits of grip. Certainly, I don't think they're going to look at that. You see BJ Rajasakaran absolutely drifting that machine around the final turn, but I've got to admit, certainly going into the last race, you know, there isn't one after it. So I think I would honestly, if I'm going to start fighting, I think this is going to be it. But how am I going to fight, Reese? Well, honestly, I think I'm going to try and apply even more pressure to my opponent rather than try and force a move. I think that is the way to go.
Yeah, the psychological game is ever more important in the wet conditions because you're managing so much more behind the wheel, aren't you? And it's much easier to distract yourself from that task of just keeping the car going straight. Just making sure that you get to the other side of each corner you turn into. So I agree. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of pressure being put on drivers, and not so much some big dives and great side-by-side racing, but potentially a bit more of a thinking man's game here.
Yeah, definitely. I think the mind punt could indeed be a good tactic, ladies and gentlemen, but that is indeed the end of warm-up, so let's very quickly go over the grid.
Yes, so pole position by virtue of winning race 2 goes to Andrew Moran. He's got Matt Larkin alongside him on the front row with Sargent and Dowden on your second row. Ben Bilson's had a good night so far, a third and a fifth. He'll start in that top 5 alongside Cairo Enns, with Mahid Rahman and Sammy Hendricks 7th and 8th. Zoltan Zumator and Mikhail Prechuk will round out your top 10.
As we have a look at P11, the Benelux driver Mark Frederick is in 11th with Rudy Filmalta in 12th. Heading back to 13th, you got Anthony Lanassa alongside Valdes Pansevius with Lee Martinez in 15th. Kane Halliburton, I'm sure he'll put himself back to the back of the grid, in 16th. Fernando Afonso takes 17th with Vijay Rajasakaran in 18th. Rafael Romansky in 19th and Michael Sabinares in 20th, with Brian Lockwood in 21st, Julian Swanson 22nd, David Kent in 23rd, and Garrett Land hoping for a better race in 24th.
Very short grid time. We are about to get started here. The track looks dry right now, but wait till they get rolling. Move it off, and the spray immediately starts to come into it. The sun is out here in Spielberg, Austria, virtually at least, as they come down to turn 1. Gonna see some drying racetrack action here. Moran leading out of turn 1, but Sargent around the outside of Larkin will take second. Zoltan Zumator trying to defend his position in the top 10. Didn't quite get the best start there. Lost the position to Prechuk, and he'll be facing off against Frederick and Phil Malta. But look at the lead that Andrew Moran has already got here. Three-way battle for second spot. Sargent, Dowden, and Larkin. There goes Dowden to third.
Well, certainly these guys are going to be very grateful that that track is starting to dry up. I know I certainly would be. And the sun appears to be coming out a little bit as well. As you see there, a huge concertina of cars all across the track, and looking pretty clean so far. And hopefully these guys can indeed keep it together. As right now, I do see that a couple of people have dropped down in the standings.
That was Sargent.
Oh, dear.
Big lockup coming into the corner there, and he just sailed right off the racetrack, rejoins right in the midst of this absolute parking lot of cars. It's like the Mitchell Freeway on a Friday afternoon. That's something for you Perth people out there. Valdes Vansevicius in that general area in the midst of the coaches, and Zomator in the midst of it all, still holding on to 10th.
Yeah, absolutely good job there by Zomator. He's one of the hard chargers in the last race as well. And actually, right now, Brian Lockwood is showing as a hard charger, up 9 positions. Julian Swanson up 8. Something definitely happened to Sammy Hendricks. He's showing us down 10 positions. But right now, these guys very much appreciating the drying track. I'm certainly enjoying the fact that the sun has indeed come out. And almost contact there with Brian Lockwood. Thankfully, able to keep it in check. But Julian Swanson as well, you see him making his way through the field. So far, the pattern we've seen is that the coaches really don't care if it's raining. They're quick regardless.
Yeah, and they'll go for those moves regardless. So it's up to you as a driver to prepare for that eventuality. Well, it's a Team Blue 1-2 at the front of the field. Moran and Dowden leading the way, but Dowden deciding to make his acquaintance with the runoff area at the exit of turn 1. A little bit of a loss of momentum there. Larkin and Bentvelsen solidly in at the slipstream, but doesn't look like there's going to be much of a chance of getting a move done at the hairpin. Moran's just minding his own business here at the very front, and the top 4 breaking away, but we've seen the pace that Mahid Rahman can pull off there, currently in 5th. He'll be pressuring them further. Mark Frederick, I see as well, has just fallen down the order to 10th. A big problem there for the number 7.
But certainly, the conditions are indeed going to catch a couple of people out. I know they'll catch me out, but Vijay Rajasakaran, he's currently up 10 positions as well. He's having a very good day. Certainly, we've seen good pace from him, but right now, Andrew Moran, he's not been able to pull away, albeit a little bit. He's got about 0.5 of a second ahead of Michael Dowden. Certainly, Michael Dowden will be looking to try and capitalize on this. Leon Bentvelsen in 4th. He's going to be very popular in the crowd. Let's see exactly what happened here with Mark Frederick.
So 3 wide on the outside coming into the hairpin. Oh, he's clambered over the curb. That's not what you want to do in these conditions. When the track's wet, you stay off the white lines. You stay off the curbs. They're painted. They're slippery. There's no grip at all on them when the track is wet.
Oh, absolutely. Certainly, it's almost like you've just danced on ice, ladies and gentlemen. As you see there, this could be a very good technique here. If Moran and Dowden can work together, they can literally shut the door on Larkin on Bent Belson behind him. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it will be optimal for pace, but certainly going into a couple of corners, they could very much stagger these cars out and really use a team technique. Certainly, we've seen it maybe once or twice, but not as... not quite as aggressive as we've seen in potentially some other series as well, where people will start looking to go. There's a little bit of a wiggle there from Moran. He goes off track. And does this mean that Dowden is now going to slingshot himself to the lead? I believe so, as these guys are side by side with Matt Larkin looking to make a run as well. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say, Moran placing his car perfectly there and boxing in Larkin, stopping him from going for further positions. And look at that. They're playing the game so well here up the front. In all of that, Moran's been able to keep the lead. Dowden was able to help his teammate out a little bit, and they still maintain that 1-2 at the front of the field. That is some great team game going on there.
Well, certainly we have... Bless him, Val Kilmer is indeed being the wingman here to Maverick and to Goose as well. In the front, as you see, VJ Rhoda Saccharin having a little bit of a slide. I think Cairo N saw it coming, corrected, and a little bit too much, it's easily done. I've definitely been guilty of doing that. And a fair play to him. He wanted to avoid a potential incident, and I think it was kind of, hit him or spin it. And, I don't think he really had a lot of choice there. But right now we see Dowden again under pressure from Matt Larkin. Moran certainly still very much in the mix. But you see Ben Belson and indeed Mahid Rahman lurking in the background as well. Keep an eye on the number 11 car, ladies and gentlemen, Kane Halliburton. He's currently 2 seconds back. We'll keep an eye on that gap because I have a feeling we may have a 6-way battle for the lead before too long.
Yep, I can see that coming as well. Ben Belson has been struggling for grip in the final sector there. He went off on the exit of the sort of S-bend and had a huge slide. So thankfully keeping the wheels straight down the start-finish stretch. But the pressure from Mahid Rahman will certainly mount. Meanwhile, the fight for second. Tiny bit of curb usage from Dowden there. Evidently that's safe, but he has lost a little bit of traction there. Keeps in the slipstream of his teammate as Matt Larkin is on the prowl, chasing them down, but still not quite close enough for a move. You can see what Larkin's doing here. Yeah? Like he's looking for those gaps where appropriate, but he's not going for the dives. He's doing what we were talking about in the warm-up. He's maintaining that pressure.
Yeah, I think Moran and Dowden are very much doing some team tactics here, and I've got to say, I'm absolutely loving it. Certainly, Larkin's not going to be a big fan. He may be car number 1, but he's not P number 1, as we see a replay here involving Mark Frederick, and free wide into that is a little bit ambitious. Some friendly fire occurs. One of the Team Red cars able to get away scot-free, as again they get a bit hit around. You can see in the background, absolute pandemonium here at the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, I'm wondering who that other Team Blue car was. Lee Martinez, meanwhile, facing some problems himself. Looking like he went a little deep into the hairpin there and turned around the number 3 of... that was Mikhail Prechuk. Unfortunate there for Mikhail. No fault of his own, just someone going in too deep behind him. And that happens from time to time. Cairo ends, meanwhile. Things going on a bit further for him. And oh my god, that was the Team Blue car that was spun from the earlier incident, I think. And Ends just went straight into him.
Yeah, at that point, I don't think you could really do much to avoid it. I mean, you kind of, with those kind of levels of grip, there's only so much reaction you can have. And I mean, it's a hard do. Certainly, I definitely sympathize for him as Fernando Alfonso getting caught up in that incident. Certainly not the race result he was looking for, currently serving a meatball flag as well. But the battle continues for the lead. Andrew Moran has been able to break away to about half a second. Leon Bendelson quietly lurking in the background. He can see Larkin looking to try and make the moves there on Michael Dowden. So I do have to wonder as well, what's going to be the tactical play here? Does Dowden want to stay close to his teammate Moran so they can continue to close the door on the guys behind him? Because there's only so much that's going to work. If these guys spread out too much, it is definitely going to count against them, and they could indeed find Matt Larkin making a move up to P2.
Yeah, for sure. This is going to be an interesting fight to keep up with over the course of this race. And remember, this is the longest race of the event at 20 minutes. So there's a bit more time for the drivers to sort out their moves and such. you can see that a dry line is starting to form around the racetrack. Just in those moments when the angle of the sunlight hits just right, you can see that there's an ever so slight difference in the shading, and that means that there's less water on the racetrack in those areas. So the drivers will be sensing that. Vijay Rajasekaran still there with Kane Halliburton in the battle for 6th spot, and these two doing a good job of catching up to these guys. Rajasekaran was actually the fastest car on track last lap, 148.8, and he's going to go for the move coming into Jochen Rindt.
Well, certainly the track is definitely drying up. You see the lap times are getting ever quicker. And I got to say, the Academy coaches are currently out very much in force. 6th, 8th, and 9th, all occupied by Academy coaches. So you see Brian Lockwood running one of the older paints right now. Don't go, we'll give him a little bit of a nudge, ladies and gentlemen. But right now, the battle for the lead continues. You can see Andrew Moran leading that charge. Michael Downs in second with Matt Larkin in third. And look who's joined the party, ladies and gentlemen. Mahid Rahman getting in on the action as well.
Yeah, good stuff from Mahid Rahman. He's been watching that fight from a distance for a while, and now the times have come to him, and he's with it, and he's going for 4th place, passing Bent Velsen at the hairpin, but has to tighten his line on the exit. Bent Velsen at the exit has the run, and he's going to try and keep the move. Excellent stuff. Exactly what we see at turn 3 in so many places. It looks like Kane Halliburton has had either an internet or a hardware failure of some kind. I saw him disappeared off the circuit for a bit, and he has ended up retiring. Unfortunately, he's out of the race. That's a real shame there for Kane. Oh, it's still on between Rahman and Bent Velsen, though. Keep an eye out here. Bent Velsen maintaining that outside line very well.
Well, certainly, if you start dipping a wheel on that white painted surface, you're going to know very quickly and very abruptly that that is indeed occurring. But the whole time they're fighting, they are dropping back behind the lead trio. And trio, ladies and gentlemen. Close enough. We're going to invent words for the dictionary, ladies and gentlemen. As you see here, yep, that's Dowden very much defending that line there. You can see Larkin, there's nothing really he can do other than sit in and hope that Dowden makes a mistake. Certainly, Moran and Dowden absolutely... At this point, I'd almost say it's choreography, ladies and gentlemen. As you see there, Bent Velsen has been able to get back on behind Larkin. Now, is Larkin now going to have to go on the defense rather than trying to attack for P2?
Well, you can see Bent Velsen having a look at turn 1, but that's not going to be it. And Bent Velsen himself going a bit too deep. Oh, Mahid Rahman right there to pounce. And the move will finally be done for 4th there. He had to wait for it, but it came to him in the end. That's what happens in races like this. And Larkin versus Dowden, as intense as it's ever been. But Larkin's still not going for the move here. He knows that the best time to go for the move is as late as possible. Bent Velsen, meanwhile, he's absolutely defending like a lion here, this potential 4th place. Rahman on the outside could get this done here.
Oh, both of those drivers, same technique going into that corner, just go and push the nose in and basically park it in front of your opponent. But then you have a very heavily compromised exit speed. It looked like Rahman's going a little bit wide there to me, but certainly himself and Bent Velsen still hard going at it, as you see on board from Matt Larkin. Maybe it's even behind Matt Larkin, actually. As we have a look, both of these guys still going hard at it. You see there, very much so. The battle continues, albeit for 4th place, but the more they fight, the more they are dropping out behind the P3 of the number 1 car, Matt Larkin.
Yeah, we're starting to see, now that the dry line is there, back to that conventional racing philosophy of, you know, if you're going to go for the move, make sure that you get it done and avoid side-by-side if you can. Contact, and oh dear, Rahman, I think his suspension's been destroyed thanks to that little bit of contact with Bent Velsen. Yeah, that front right is gone. I can see it drooping a little bit. He's going to have to go into the pit lane there to get that thing repaired. That'll be an unsafe pit entry there for Mahid, I believe. That'll be another black flag he'll have to deal with. But Leon Bent Velsen, unfortunately, the instigator of that, up the inside through Jochen Rindt, and you can see that they just banged wheels there, and then the front right suspension of Rahman just failed.
Yeah, definitely a meatball flagger. That's pretty much going to be the end of his race. Certainly the number 5 car. Great battle, but good news for Ben Felsen, albeit it may be scrutinized by the stewards. Certainly, I'm not too sure how I would call that one right now, but Team Blue currently rocking it in P1, P2, and look at that now. Vijay Rajasakaran, he's been able to capitalize on that. Up 14 positions, ladies and gentlemen. Incredible drive. Only person rivaling that is Brian Lockwood, but then Academy coaches is a different kind of set of rules for them, really. You know, they're meant to be professional, but you know what I'm trying to say, Reese. You know, we expect greater things from them right now. As you can see there, Lockwood looking to try and apply some pressure, really working that wheel as he sees the Vijay Rajasakaran in the number 12 car right ahead of him.
Yes, so Ben Felsen fell to 6th spot there. I think he was still recovering from the incident with Rahman, and that allowed Rajasekaran and Lockwood past him. So keep an eye out for Ben Felsen, see if he can recover some pace here and try and get back amongst that battle. Meanwhile, further back, Rudy Philmalter trying to keep Sammy Hendricks behind him. And Hendricks, the novice coach here, is doing a good job of applying that pressure.
Well, very much so, ladies and gentlemen. And, you know, that is another way of making a pass. Don't get me wrong. You don't have to just go and force the moves. You can certainly keep your opponent very occupied within the mirrors. And certainly with a mirror full of F1600. And not just that, he's got his teammate behind him as well, Valdes Vancevius. You know, it could potentially be a very tough fight there for the number 9 car, Rudy Philmalter. As you see there, actually, that is an absolutely cheeky move there by Anthony Lanassa. But fair to say, he got it done.
He certainly did. And we'll get another look at that. Same sort of deal that happened between Ben Felsen and Rahman, but this time a bit more space between the cars, and Lanassa was able to get the car fully ahead before they reached the apex. So nicely done there. Further back in the field, Lee Martinez having a good time. Rajasekaran, meanwhile, has got Ben Felsen for very close company. Ooh. And, oh, that's a little bit borderline, that move. But it seems no contact, no damage. If anything, just a tiny little bit. And so Ben Felsen will be able to keep the fight going here. Rajasekaran losing touch with Lockwood. I think he might have had a problem in the final sector a lap or so ago. And so has lost touch with the coach, who's now in 4th.
Yeah, it's showing me on my side that Rajasakaran did indeed have an off track, as we see here. Lanassa still going at it. Let's take a quick peek. Here you go. Here's Vijay Rajasakaran, and yep, gets it. Same spot as Mahid Rahman, actually. Same spin, and it almost clips the pit entry wall there. I feel like he got away there. Very artistic, I'll give him that, but definitely could have ended a lot worse. Definitely would have been very painful had he hit that arm code. But right now, he's got Ben Felsen breathing down his neck. It's the 12 versus the 23.
And it looks like Ben Felsen has the slipstream, has the run, has the traction out of the high speed, but has to deal with the outside line into Jochen Rindt. It's hard to maintain it there, and you don't want to risk running onto the curb like Rajasekaran did. They're pushing it so fine there. Like, the edges of their tires are just touching the white line. You don't want to go fully over it in wet conditions because there's no grip on painted surfaces here. Ben Felsen, he is looking at every opportunity. But Rajasekaran, fastest driver overall of the day so far, I think. Managed to get pole position and got the fastest lap in race 2 as well. He certainly got a lot of pace on his hand, as it looks like further problems here for Mike Sargent. Well, the curb on the exit of the penultimate corner strikes again.
Well, I do believe there has been some action happening for the lead as well. I did see Andrew Moran and Michael Dowden switch places for a brief minute, but very much the pair of them still out in front, and they've pulled 1.3 seconds ahead of Matt Larkin. So at this point, I think they've switched from defense to attack mode, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly not something that you're going to see in an F1600, but very much, I think they're basically, for lack of better words, leapfrogging each other at this point to try and pull ahead. And it's fair to say it's currently working. Matt Larkin now almost a second back, ladies and gentlemen. So I've got to say, great teamwork there from the 99 and the 01 machine.
Yeah, leaves Larkin all by himself to try and catch up on pace alone, but he doesn't have the luxury of the slipstream, so it's all going to be down to the mechanical grip through the high speed. 2 minutes remaining on the clock, and it looks like this might be the final lap that we're coming up on now. Yeah. Oh no! Valdes Vancevius making contact with the number 8 there. That's Lee Martinez. And Mark Frederick is there to take advantage and sweep through to 12th. That's such a shame for those two drivers. They get going again, but man, that's not what you want to see.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely went
Rajasekaryan's
for a
just
move.
had a spin too.
Oh, let's go take a quick look at that here. So there's VJ Rajasekaryan. You can see there now Julian Swanson making a move. As, yeah, he's definitely dropped back. Liam Bedwell's getting some good news there, but I do wonder exactly what happened with VJ, and thankfully able to keep that car going. But I do wonder at this point as well how many incident points this driver's got, because he's got to be careful. We've seen some drivers get disqualified for hitting that limit. He's definitely got to be careful. Certainly, it's 1 incident point for an off-track, 2 for a loss of control, and 4 for any contact. So let's have a quick look and see what happened. And yep, it's the same spot. This has literally been the Achilles heel of a lot of these drivers tonight, and actually, isn't that? He did that the last lap as well.
Yeah, that was a different incident. VJ actually had the spin on the exit of the corner this time. He ended up going for a slide and then hit a huge patch of standing water on the curb, and that's what swung him around.
Well, definitely very easily done here, but right now the 2 Team Blue cars are out in the lead, and I think the closest battle actually is Julian Swanson's been able to sneak his way by, but we actually have a battle going on between Valdis Vancivius and Rafael Romanski. We've not seen these guys too much yet. Certainly Rafael Romanski did indeed have a little bit of Stewart coaching between rounds, but right now he's applying a good amount of pressure to the number 87 car and tucking it right back up under behind that exhaust pipe, looking to try and apply some pressure. He's currently up, Romanski up 3 positions in this race so far.
Well, we're coming to the end of the race, and the checkered flag seems to be out. And it looks like Andrew Moran not having the best exit out of the final corner. Ooh. He's going to try and defend from his teammate. And Michael Dowden is going to sweep through to take victory at the very final moment.
Oh, that was just... Oh, dear.
Oh!
Oh,
goodness. Dear. Okay. Oh, Julian Swanson can't get the drive. He can't get the drive. He's had to escape there. Well, he made it all the way to the last corner of the race.
I definitely want to see what happened there, certainly. Oh, the big slide there from Zoltan Zomator as they're going around the final corner. I got to admit, some of these Academy drivers, I think Pyro Enz was my favorite, absolutely sliding this thing. Beautiful slip angle, but Rafael Romanski not quite able to get that 14th position away. I do definitely want to see what happened, though, to Julian Swanson at the end of that race.
Yeah. Well, here we go then, up the inside, on the outside actually, and he just caught the curb, caught the white line, and then the rear end hits the wall, and that is the drive shaft disconnected, so he actually couldn't get the drive there. That's a shame there for Mr. Swanson. Another view of it. Curb, white line, maybe a bit of contact with the car ahead as well, but yeah, the rear left hitting the wall was what really did it for him. If that hadn't happened, he might have been able to get it rolling to the line again. All the same, between Dowden and Moran, man, what a finish, and it all came down to Moran just getting a bit too much curb on the exit of the final corner, and that allowed Michael Dowden to come through to take victory by 78 thousandths of a second. Matt Larkin completing the podium, well done to him. Lockwood making his way all the way up to 4th, with Bentvelsen finishing where he started in 5th place. VJ Rajasekaryan having a few spins in that final race. He was great in full wet conditions, but apparently the drying line, one of his weak points there. Sammy Hendricks comes home behind, with Sargent, Phil Malta and Lanassa rounding out the top 10. Mark Frederick finishes 11th place, with Lee Martinez, a late bit of contact, putting him back to 12th, with Zoltan Zomator in lucky 13th. Valdis Vancivius in 14th, with Romanski, Lund, Prechuk and Sabinias, the last finishers. Julian Swanson out, coming out of the last corner, in fact. Mahid Rahman, unfortunately, retiring a few laps from the end. Kane Halliburton having some technical dramas. David Kent, Cairo Enz, and Fernando Afonso had absolutely horrific races, and they'll be hoping for their luck to turn around next time round.
Well, we're going to take a quick look about the battle for the very last race, for the very last position. You can see here, it was indeed Dowden versus Moran. And you see there, Moran looking to try and close the door. Nope, the elbows are indeed out. And Dowden's just basically like, nope, I'm going anyway. And I got to say, definitely, I can hear giggles almost. I can't hear them, but I can hear them giggling in my mind. Certainly, it would be a very, very fun fun bit of chatter there. And actually, speaking of which, I do see Michael Dowden has appeared. So actually, while we take a quick look at this, Michael, we're just admiring your very cheeky pass on teammate Andrew Moran at the end of that. Tell us a little bit about what was going through your mind while that happened.
I don't know. Andrew and I were, working well the entire weekend, all 3 races. I think we did really well. And then, yeah, the last one, Andrew just made a mistake, and I took advantage of it at the line. But he's pretty far ahead in the drivers' championship. Otherwise, I would have just let him have it. But he's got it in the bag.
Well, certainly a fantastic bit of teamwork by Team Blue. Certainly, we did see both yourself and Andrew very deliberately. When Andrew was in the lead, you would very deliberately cover the inside line, and I got to say, it was beautiful. It was almost like a formation laps as well, beautifully orchestrated, and it certainly paid off for you today. But Michael, what an absolutely fantastic result! Fair play to you, getting on the top step of the podium. Very cheekily at the end, I admit, but great entertainment for us nonetheless. But tell us a little bit about how you prepared for this race at the Red Bull Ring.
Overall, it was just like getting at least an hour or two of practice every day, and just, try not to do too much so that you get frustrated, because it's really easy driving in the wet to get frustrated just from how difficult it can be. And then in this race, it was just keeping it focused on one corner at a time, and making sure that, you keep, while you're driving, spend the time on the straights thinking about, okay, how is the track evolving? How is the track changing? Can I go back to my regular line? Do I need to stay narrow? There's like so many variables that you just got to be 100% focused the whole time.
Well, certainly, I do commend you for having the patience and the skill, and indeed, thankfully the coaching as well. Huge shout out to the Almeida Racing Academy for having such services, and I got to say, it's doing a fantastic job as well. I mean, top of the podium, fantastic stuff. But Michael, before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to share out?
Definitely shout out to Andrew. I know he's probably going to be a little upset after the race, but overall we did super well, and couldn't really have asked for a better result.
Well, speaking of which, Reese, I understand you've been able to catch up with Andrew Moran. We still got Michael Dowden in here, so let's find out exactly how that went down.
Yeah, indeed. Andrew, just looked like it all went wrong at the last possible moment. Just a bit too much curb there out of the final corner, which in these wet conditions is pretty much a death sentence.
Yeah, we'll see if someone gets help next week. So, but what are you gonna do? You keep him in P2, and then he takes it from you. So it's all good.
Of
We'll find out.
course. Nothing to stop a little bit of taking advantage when the opportunity strikes, but it was still a pretty good round for you. Fourth, of course, in race one, and winning that absolutely treacherous race two. I mean, the rain came down so heavy, there was basically no dry line at all, no grip anywhere on the racetrack, and it was all about survival.
Yeah. Yeah. Race 2 was fine. It was honestly not that hard to get through everybody that was in front of me. Obviously, I had contact in the previous race and got spun around, but so I started in front of those guys. Yeah. So we'll I'm gonna win the championship. That's all that matters. So.
Of course. Keeping your eye on the prize, Andrew. Well, best of luck in the remaining rounds of the championship. We will see you next week. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
No, not this week. Appreciate it.
All right. Fair enough. Andrew Moran there in second spot. And, well, Zippy, I'll leave it up to you to choose our last driver interview.
Well, I'm thinking we should mix it up a little bit. And certainly this man, we've seen him have some good success. But ladies and gentlemen, Matt Larkin, certainly he was very much, making a big deal for the blue team. And I got to say, power to you, definitely having a very good race today. Matt, tell us a little bit about the conditions here at the Red Bull Ring.
Thanks, man. It's very tricky. So we were practicing in like a static set of rain conditions and rubber. And then during the race, they said it was going to be dynamic. So it was changing. So there was a lot of rubber down on the rubber line, and it was varying rain and wetness the whole time. So we were having to adapt to that, which is obviously what they wanted us to have to do in the race. So that made it very interesting and tricky.
Well, certainly, I can definitely imagine that, and I don't think I would be able to compete at this level. But it's fair to say you've done an absolutely incredible job. But Matt, I would actually like to hear a little bit about the academy itself and your experience. Certainly, I do know that there's some pit parties and indeed some challenges as well. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with such things?
Yeah, so it's a really good structure. We have, some of the best coaches, out there that are organizing this and setting it all up to help us all learn pace and racecraft as much as we can, right? And so we have the workshops on Monday where they'll go over like a big fundamental or foundational concept to help us all understand something about pace or racecraft or whatever. And then we're practicing a challenge video that Kane releases with like a really nice long breakdown with brake markers and all that kind of stuff and descriptions of the track surface. And so we kind of use that as a guide to get ourselves up to pace and help us find more pace and understand what we're doing. And then Wednesday, we'll have like an open practice session that's for like 10 hours long where we can all just jump in and kind of battle each other and try to put down a hot lap, see where we're all at. And then Fridays, we have a pit party where we all go out and really kind of fight each other, probably harder than we would in the race, and get used to that. And then we have the race Saturday morning. So it's a really good system. We're following the officials all week long, so we get to jump in the officials and take advantage of the knowledge and stuff that we're learning. So it works out really, really well. It's amazing.
Well, definitely, it sounds like a fantastic program. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to be part of this league, you do indeed need to be a league member, so definitely check out the website, Almeida Academy. Almeida Academy, put that in there, swellyalmeida.com. But I got to say, a huge congratulations, Matt. Before we let you go, anybody you'd like to shout out?
Well, sorry to Mike for turning him in that second race in the last lap. I just didn't get into the brake pressure the way I wanted to. I wasn't even trying to go. So I wasn't even trying to send it in there. It just sort of happened, and then I ended up on the rubber and trying to stop and turn at the same time. It never works. So, but we both got going. It wasn't too bad. But yeah, sorry to him. And then shout out to the wife and kids, and then everybody at ARA and all the coaches, and also the Lord and Savior, Jesus.
Well, definitely a first time I've had that one here on the stream, ladies and gentlemen. Matt Larkin setting the trend here, ladies and gentlemen, but a huge congratulations to him. And we're looking forward to seeing you at the next round. But ladies and gentlemen, I think that's just going to wrap it up for us here on Pit Road Productions. I got to say, Reese, what an absolutely fantastic event. Certainly, despite it being rain, there was indeed some fire. And certainly, I'm looking very much forward to the next round.
Yeah, as am I. We are going to VIR, of course, for the 5th round of the championship, and then Zandvoort 2 weeks from now to end off the season. 2 brilliant tracks, and I'm really looking forward to the Virginia International Raceway. It's going to be a massive round there, so make sure to tune into that. Same time next week here on Pit Road Productions. Leave it to you, Zippy, to close us out.
Well, yeah, an absolutely belt of a round. Certainly, definitely a little bit of spice in the kitchen, but I'm very much looking forward to VIR, albeit it's the North layout, as we were mentioning just a moment ago. But that's it from us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, and we'll see you in a week's time.
If you're a racing driver and you want to reach an advanced level, there's a faster and easier way to become competitive. I've gone from this to this in 5 years. Now, we've created the perfect free driver development guide to help you understand the right order of racing skills to develop if you want to become a competitive driver as quickly as possible. This guide was made after 3,000 hours of combined high-level coaching.